Sneaky NFL playoff teams. The teams that when playoffs comes around, December, January, they sneak in the back door. You don't even notice them until you look at the final bracket and you realize they snagged a 7 or a 6 seed and they're playing against the Chiefs and Arrowhead. There's a good amount of them. Some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions, who are they? Who are the honorable mentions, Logan?
Bears and Chargers.
Bears,
they picked up Caleb Williams. Like,
they did.
Come on, man.
In case
they lost Justin Fields, but I mean, but it's Justin Fields, man. Come on.
We'll get into that later. We'll talk about what you just said at a later time because I want to know where you're going with that. But yeah, I mean, in case you've been living under a rock, they went out and got their hopefully franchise guy, Caleb Williams. Chargers went out and got their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, national champion. I think those two teams make a great argument to make the playoffs this season. I think they're very respectable teams, and I think they'll put up positive records. Wouldn't be surprised if they're in a bracket by the end of the season at all.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on about Caleb Williams. I could yap about Caleb Williams for a minute, but it's a situation where I like it. I feel like they could sneak into the playoffs, but I feel like they'll for sure be like a future playoff team, like a set playoff team. This year, they could definitely sneak in if Caleb Williams shows up to his potential. But like we've seen with these first overall pick quarterbacks, there's not much for them. I mean, they come from college where there's the best offensive line you could ever ask for, and you get put in a situation in Chicago. I mean, I could see it though.
Yeah, maybe just like I see what you're talking about, like an adjustment year. You get a lot of new pieces, build some chemistry this season, come out stronger next season. I could definitely see the Bears just cruising to an 8 or 9 win season, getting adjusted, Yeah, I could definitely see that. Some team we're gonna start off moderate, not too hot, and we're gonna end right back in the fantasy island we were just living in by the end of this segment. Start off the New York Jets, moderate, a team that arguably makes a great argument to be in the playoffs. They have minus 154 odds. Those are good odds. DraftKings gives them 154 to make the playoffs. They're sitting in the top 10 range to make the playoffs overall in the league. They have the 4th best ranked roster in the whole NFL. I mean, so this is a team, they have stars, we know this. I think that Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson connection, I said this last offseason, obviously before the Aaron Rodgers whole 4-snap fiasco. Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson is going to be the best connection in the league this year. You're going a veteran, 3-time NFL MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, definitely this generation's 2nd best quarterback, throwing to I would say, a top 3 future receiver in Garrett Wilson, absolute stud. That's going to be a crazy connection. 4th best ranked roster, they have Breece Hall, one of the best young running backs in the NFL. He's a stud. I love Breece Hall. He reminds me of a faster Nick Chubb. That's how I compare Breece Hall. But I mean, they're a playoff hungry team. They have not been in the playoffs in forever. They haven't won a playoff game in 13 years.
That's long.
We were just starting to talk last time they won a playoff game. We were 4 years old when they won a playoff game. Actually, I don't know when babies started to talk. I want to be a broadcaster, not a gynecologist or whatever. But 4 years old last time they won a playoff game. What is so funny? I don't even know what a gynecologist is. It just sounded right.
It's a vagina doctor.
Okay, not a gynecologist, but what? That's not the point. That's not the point. 13 seasons without a playoff win is absurd. Yeah, I mean I'm just gonna stop talking now because I just keep digging myself into a hole. But Jets, I think, make a great argument to make the playoffs this season.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next?
I'll talk about the Jets for a second.
Okay.
I like the Jets situation this season. Garrett Wilson, like, he's had to deal with Zach Wilson for his whole career, and he puts up amazing numbers. Now you have Aaron Rodgers healthy coming in, and he's going to throw the rock to Garrett Wilson. I mean, they're in my division, but I still want to see them lose, but they're going to be good this year. And that electric defense they have, like, their defense is so young and it's a fun defense to watch. You can't lie. Like Sauce Gardner and everyone else on that team. It's a fun team to watch, to be honest. Now,
What are the odds the Jets go out and draft Shedeur Sanders to replace Aaron Rodgers this offseason?
I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback.
We'll get into that. That'll be a later time.
What?
We're gonna save ourselves some content.
Okay.
Here. All right,
Okay.
you have anything to add on to the Jets?
No, not particularly.
I don't. Yeah, it's a pretty safe blanket.
It is.
Pretty. This next team, we start to step it up a little bit. The Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh Steelers went out. They got two respectable quarterbacks in Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Got Justin Fields for a bag of Fritos Lay's chips. I think the Steelers are a team that could sneak into a playoff for sure. The AFC it's a good AFC, but when you start to get to that 7 range, that 7th seed in the playoffs, that's really up for grabs between a couple teams that come into mind. Dolphins are a team that come into mind for me. Chargers are a team that come into mind for me. Steelers, maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't really. Maybe the Browns snag up that 7th seed.
For sure.
They have plus 160 odds to make the playoffs, so we're definitely taking a step up here in the hotness ranking. 16th best roster, dead middle, and they've gone 7 seasons without a playoff win. I'm not even going to try to make an analogy here this time, but I think they're a team that could do it for sure. Russell Wilson, obviously Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP quarterback, just a stud. We do not have to listen to the painful Broncos country let's ride anymore from them. Haven't heard any cringy pickup lines, so maybe that is a sign of promise there in Pittsburgh. The quarterback room, if you have Justin Fields returning kicks, I think they're a lock to make the playoffs.
I think it's like the addition of these two, like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, they already had wide receivers like George Pickens, Van Jefferson. Like they didn't have bad wide receivers at all. It's just they had Kenny Pickett throwing them the rock. They also have Najee Harris. They don't have bad offensive weapons. They just needed a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett to, be there to take the snaps. So the addition of Justin Fields, who can move it, who's a mobile quarterback, and then we have Russell Wilson who can sling it. Like, come on, man.
Also thinking about the Steelers, something that just popped up into my mind. I don't know what the Barstool clip, Troy Fattanu. But they went out and drafted one of the best O-line in this draft in Troy Fattanu. It's not Troy Fattanu, for whoever needs to hear that. Troy Fattanu. Russell Wilson's protected.
Yeah.
Their O-line there, I like the O-line they're building there. Plus, not to mention, next season, Russell Wilson's under a 1 year. I don't see him re-signing him after this season. Justin Fields is sitting back, learning from a quarterback that is more mobile than not. He uses some of his strengths to his advantage, strengths that remind me similar to what Justin Fields could be if he tapped into his full potential. You learn behind him, Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback for a whole season. You know you're going to step up and be the starter next season. Justin Fields can develop so much in that offense. He's getting chemistry with receivers in practice, making reps, everything like this. He could be very, very dangerous next season for the Steelers after learning behind Russell Wilson for a whole season. I think next season, the Steelers team is going to be a lot more scary than people are going to give him credit for. I think Justin Fields could be a QB1, a scary QB1 at that in Pittsburgh.
On the other side of the ball, they also picked up Patrick Queen from the Ravens, dude. Come on, man.
That's a big pickup.
True.
That's a big pickup.
Come on, man.
What I like about the Steelers, it's like you said, they're a sneaky team. I feel like they've always been the sneaky team for the past years. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season like ever, I don't think, unless it was recently. But they're always that sneaky team. The Bills beat them first round last year. They went into the playoffs with Kenny Pickett was their starter last year. Mm-hmm. And what I want to say about the Steelers, my favorite part about the Steelers offense is George Pickens. I feel like with a quarterback like Russell Wilson, George Pickens is going to be a very, very scary receiver in Pittsburgh.
I remember we were covering training camp last year. We were glazing that catch. That catch was a
catch. It came up in my memories.
He just does it. He does it so effortlessly. He does it week after week. I'm gonna stop the glaze too hard here on.
He has aura.
George Pickens, but he has. I would say George Pickens has max aura. He's. The step up. We're gonna continue to climb a little bit here. We're taking another step. The Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it.
Seattle Seahawks. They were in it. I mean, they were in it 2 years ago. They didn't miss out by a lot last season at all. NFC is a lot weaker than the AFC. I think that's a very fair statement. That's not even an opinion. I think that's a fact. In their division, it's a good division. I think the Cardinals will be a lot better this season. I think the Rams are going to be a decent team like they always are this season. I think the Seahawks are going to finish second in that NFC West, and I wouldn't be surprised if they snagged a wild card spot in the NFC West. The thing that scares me is Mike McDonald coming in and replacing Pete Carroll. We know Pete Carroll's still in the building. They have plus 176 odds to make the playoffs. 17th ranked best offense, so they're just one step behind the Steelers. 5 seasons without a playoff run. Again, no analogy. I'm not going to dig another hole. But last time they won a playoff game, it was like prime OG Fortnite. So it was Fortnite World Cup last time they won a playoff game. Can they recreate a run similar to the Russell Wilson era? I don't know, but
they have the pieces. They have the pieces.
I think they do. The thing I love about the Seahawks, Quandre Diggs might be gone. I'm not really 100% sure on that, so I'm not going to mention his name as much. Their secondary, I love their secondary. I love Seahawks secondary. Tariq Woolen, stud. Devon Witherspoon, stud. They have some other guy. Lance Boykin, stud.
Kobe Bryant.
They still have Quandre Diggs.
Lance Boykin's glove right here. Logan and I, we know about that Georgia Southern game.
Yes, sir.
They still do have Quandre Diggs.
Yes, I believe so. I just looked it up.
And they bossed up. They got rid of Jamal Adams. So I really like this defense. I like that secondary a lot. I also think that offense has a lot to show. They went out. They got Sam Howell as a backup. Geno Smith. They're going to make some quarterback moves next offseason for sure. The receivers are very, very talented. They have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
They have Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Like, come on.
I've heard rumors Kenneth Walker is also going to take a big step up this season for the Seahawks. So this is a team all around with great pieces. First-year head coach. I believe he's an offensive-minded head coach as well with great offensive pieces. A team that's ready to take a step up, and I could easily see him making a wild card here.
I don't see anything wrong with that take. I feel like Seahawks are in a great position, you know?
I think they could easily go out and snag a wild card spot. So I think having them at number 3 for the moderate, that's fair. This next team, all I know, yeah, Connor's a little mute over there, but it's fine. All I know, the 5 team, the 5th team on this list is where the water reaches 212 degrees. But right now we're gonna step to like 175 degrees. We're cranking up the oven a little bit.
It's still hot, bro. It's just a hot take, but I mean it's not bad.
The Indianapolis Colts. In an AFC,
Anthony Richardson's not injured anymore.
In a very tough AFC. Anthony Richardson returning from his shoulder injury. He's going to be the week 1 starter. They have plus 138 odds. They have better odds than the Seahawks, but they're in a way tougher conference than the Seahawks. They're in a tougher division than the Seahawks. I mean, we mentioned the franchise quarterbacks earlier in that division. That's going to be a division for the future. Ton of studs in there, ton of talent, ton of young talent in that division. They have the 22nd best roster in the NFL, so we're starting to sink a little bit.
There.
Yeah, and they went 6 seasons without a playoff run, so they're more prime OG Fortnite than the Seahawks were. But the Seahawks, not the Seahawks, the Colts. I don't know. I just don't know.
They picked up Joe Flacco though, so they have a secondary quarterback at least, you know.
I mean, yeah, Gardner Minshew came out and balled out last season for him too. I think the Shane Steichen team there in Indianapolis is very, very good. I love Shane Steichen as a head coach. I love Anthony Richardson as a quarterback. I do. Jonathan Taylor at running back, can't go wrong there. One of my favorite
Junior, Josh Downs. Come on, man.
Not a lot of people know this, but one of my favorite non-Dolphins in the league is Michael Pittman Jr. I love Michael Pittman Jr. and he's a stud there for that offense. He's been great. He got drafted 2021, might have been 2020 out of USC. He's just been great ever since then. We've seen multiple clips off of his YouTube, Michael Pittman, but I really like that team there. I think they're building a great team, and I think they could sneak into a wild card spot, maybe surprise some people this offseason. This season, and just make some noise. They're in Indianapolis. Dolphins play them in Indianapolis this season. That'll be a fun game to watch. I think they're a team that has potential to go in, win upside of 10 games, which could be enough in this AFC, depends on how other people play, to sneak into that first round, get a tough matchup, but making the playoffs is more of a morale boost than anything. So I could see the Colts coming in, snagging a spot here. Not too outlandish, but it's starting to tinker on that fantasy island world. I think there is a reality this season the Colts get into the playoffs.
I think the Colts are in like the division, like the South, where the Texans, Jaguars, the Colts, and Titans. So I feel like that's like one of the divisions where it's like it comes down to like the games that you play in your division. Like those teams always finish so close together. So like the Jaguars, Texans, Colts, and the Titans, they have to fight. Like so, I feel like whoever wins that division is always like a mid, like well-rounded team, but they won their division because they outlived the other three teams. And the Colts have great pieces. Like I really liked how Anthony Richard played before he got injured. I feel like he was really good. And then if Jonathan Taylor comes back and plays like how he played 2 years ago, and then you got Michael Pittman, I feel like they have a really good chance to win the division and make the playoffs.
I feel like that whole division, they're just playing like imperialism over there on Madden. But I could definitely see it. They were one game off. I mean, they were that Week 18 game against the Texans away from stealing the division last season.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally they were a drop screen pass away from making that division, from making that wild card game and winning that division. They are always neck and neck. I agree.
Those 4 teams are like the teams that are like, I would expect them to have a tie in their record. Like, I don't know what it is, but when I see those teams, I'm like, dude, they should have a tie in the record. Like they tied with someone. Like it's something with those 4. Yeah. They're so tight.
It's just like the NFC East, how you look at a graphic, the past 10 years, it's been a different winner the past 10 years. It's just whoever, it's up for the taking. That division's up for the taking completely. That's why I think the Colts are not outlandish at all to see January in a playoff game, maybe going to Arrowhead, going to Baltimore, going to one of these tough places to play wild card game.
The East is turning into that too. Like I feel like anybody could win the East. I mean, the AFC East, obviously.
I think it's honestly, it's not. I love that statement, Logan, but I honestly think it's a lot of people overlook early weeks, like week 1. I honestly believe some of the most important games are week 1 through 9. You go back, the Dolphins always play the Bills better in September because at this point, again, this is a fact. The Dolphins play better in warmer weather. It's just a fact at this point.
Weather matters.
Weather does matter.
Yes.
Dolphin Stadium is built to fluctuate 30-ish degrees for the home side. We always play the Bills better in September. You take an early matchup in September against the Bills. You go down, you lose to them, you split the series. It's not as big of a deal. If we lose our September game, because that's our game to win, if we lose that, we're in trouble going down the stretch. Early weeks matter when it comes to playoff ranking, comes to all this ranking.
Definitely.
That's why teams like the Colts, who are going to finish so close, and we know they're going to finish so close in their division, need to win their early division matchups. So that's really what it just comes down to. Okay. We turned up the oven a little bit.
Last one.
Here's the oven now. We're at setting 8. Mom bumped into the oven. It's on full heat. 212 degrees. The Tennessee Titans. Number 5 making the playoffs. The Tennessee Titans.
Oh, God.
We're staying in the division. We're not leaving. We're staying right here in the AFC South. We're here to stay. A division to look out for this season, the Tennessee Titans. How do we feel about the Tennessee Titans? I don't. Everyone's silent because we don't even know what to think about this.
I've shamed the Titans a lot this episode. I feel like the Titans have always came out in each segment for some reason. So I like it, but I just don't know about like the rookie head coach situation. They could, like, I'm telling you, if those pieces like Will Levis and Tony Pollard and DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley all come together and actually play as a team, they're going to be playoff contenders for sure, especially in that division.
I completely agree. Like they have the pieces, dude. They have the pieces. It's just like if they don't fall together, I don't know if they're playoff ready yet with the rookie head coach. It's I don't know if it's like realistic yet. You know.
I mean, they have pretty funny odds, plus 420 to make the playoffs. So again, Brian Callahan, first-year head coach. No chemistry in that team. A division that's not really. We just spent 5 minutes talking about it. It's not really a sound division. There's no clear-cut winner. Does Brian Callahan want to come out and have his team just completely dominate this AFC South? I mean, that's obviously the goal every year, but is he going to execute that? Who knows? This team also was around the time the Fortnite World Cup, 5 seasons. They beat the Ravens, their historic season. Beat the Ravens in that divisional. Derrick Henry, middle of the back stiff arm. I believe that was Earl Thomas, maybe? I don't even. 25th best ranked roster in the NFL. They're almost
Bottom.
Rock bottom.
They're in the bottom quarter of the league. It's just the preseason polls and rankings are rough for the Titans. They're just rough. No one expects them to do anything this season. They expect a little chemistry, get your chemistry together this season, go out, win a couple games, get the fan base bumping a little bit, go out, get a better draft pick. What are the odds Brian Callahan says, screw that, we're taking this division. We're making a playoff game. We're overachieving like we did in 2019. We're taking everything. We're not holding back, and we're going out, and we're making a statement here in Tennessee. Nissan Stadium, fill up the seats. We're rocking this season. I see them finishing last in the division. They're not making the playoffs in my eyes. Yeah.
I feel like the reason like the polls are so low, this is why it is a sneaky team. Like if you want to bet on a team not to put too much money on, the Titans are that team because they could definitely pull together and get chemistry and win their division, I feel like. But as of right now, they're bottom of that division.
I think a safe ranking is Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans. The Titans are just a team that they're just so unsure and so all over the place. I can't put them in the playoffs. I can't see them in the playoffs. I can barely see them winning more than 10 games. Yeah. If they even reach double digits.
I could see everyone in that division going 9-8 if that was possible.
Every single one?
Yeah.
I could see a 9-8 draw across the board because it's like those division games are going to play so close, and then the non-division games are going to be 50-50. They play really good teams out of division. They play really bad teams out of division. The AFC South is literally it's like the middle child. The NFL, it's like the NFL's middle child. They just let them do whatever they want as long as they're home by the end of the night in bed, not dead or like they just let them. They just do whatever. They're all over the place. They're always just getting into mischievous.
Yeah. But you gotta remember the time that they were just like all bad. Like they at one point they're pretty bad teams.
All bad, dude.
It's just it's such a weird division. It's so weird. I mean, you can say the same thing about the AFC. You can make an argument for every division. They're just so weird.
I think that's just like seeing teams like since it's a new generation. I feel like a football is coming really soon. That we're just seeing new power teams and new middle teams.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that whole conference whole division sort of floats towards the middle right there.
Yeah.
So my stance on this is I think Jets make the playoffs. I think Steelers maybe. Seahawks, I think they could make the playoffs.
Yes.
I think the Colts could make the playoffs.
Yes.
And I think the Titans will not make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Titans are seeing the playoffs for
another 3
years.
Do you think they will or won't?
The Titans?
No, I thought Connor was shaking his head yes to the Titans.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you were agreeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those 2 honorable mentions, though, the Bears and the Chargers, I think they both have a great chance to make the playoffs.
The Bears, the Bears, or no, I feel like the Chargers could more so than the Bears. The Chargers last year, they had the weapons and everything. It's just go coaching. It's definitely the coaching.
I think the Bears are going to be sneaky, sneaky good. They have one of the best corners in the NFL. Didn't even crack the top 100, which in itself is just completely disrespectful. Jalen Johnson, one of my favorite DBs. He was on my 5 underappreciated players list. I think he is going to show out. He has potential to be CB1 in the NFL this season. He's just that good. And I think Caleb Williams, you draft a generational talent at QB. Let's just call it what it is. No one, maybe Trevor Lawrence, got that much hype coming out of college and was a clear-cut first-round pick from the time they graduated to just when they got picked. And then you have DJ Moore, a very good receiver. Keenan Allen, a receiver that's been consistent when not injured, jumping off the charts for years. You also have DeAndre Swift, who, he played great when he was in Detroit, wherever he was playing, Philadelphia last season. It's just a team with so much talent and a good coach, frankly, Matt Eberflus, to anchor this ship, to sort of steer this ship. I think this is a ship that could cruise right into the playoffs. In their division, I think they could go out and win the division. I don't think that's... The Lions are very, very good. Are they going to repeat that success from last year? I think they'll get close to it. I don't think they're going to mimic it completely. The Packers, Jordan Love's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. I think the Packers will be right up there. I think the Packers are going to go out and win the division this season. If not, I think it's going to be similar to the AFC South, where you have 3 teams right up in contention for that first place all the way through January. I think it's going to be a very fun division. I think the Bears are going to make... I see them, honestly, locked as a 7 seed going into the playoffs. Lions 6. It's a situation like the AFC North in recent years, where they put 3 teams into the playoffs year after year. I think the NFC North is putting 3 teams into the playoffs this season.
That's in my opinion, the best division in the NFC for sure is the North. In my opinion, it used to be the West when it was Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers. They were all great for one season, like when the Rams finally got good. But now I think it has transferred over to the North. I think any of those teams could win their division. I really like the Packers too, by the way.
I like it. Yep. I think that's probably gonna be the most fun division in football this season, for sure. I think the NFC North, and then right behind it, AFC East. AFC East is gonna put 3 teams in the playoffs as well. I think that's gonna be a very fun division.